Lewis Allen was an African-American businessman in Liberty, Mississippi who was shot and killed on his land during the Civil Rights era. He had previously tried to register to vote and had allegedly talked to federal officials after witnessing the 1961 murder of Herbert Lee, an NAACP member, by E. H. Hearst, a white state legislator. Civil rights activists had come to Liberty that summer to organize for voter registration, as no African American had been allowed to vote since the state's disenfranchising constitution was passed in 1890. Allen was harassed and jailed repeatedly by Amite County Sheriff Daniel Jones. The day before he planned to move out of state, Allen was fatally shot on his own property. Since the late 20th century, his case has been investigated by Tulane University history professor Plater Robinson. The case was reopened by the FBI beginning in 2007 as part of its review of civil rights era cold cases. In 2011, the CBS program 60 Minutes conducted a special on his murder as well. Their work suggested that Allen was killed by Jones. However, no one has been prosecuted for the murder. Lewis Allen was a native of Amite County, Mississippi, where he was born in 1919. The county's population was majority African American, with an economy based on agriculture, cotton, dairy farming and logging. Many blacks left before World War II because of poor economic opportunities, racial violence, and social oppression under Jim Crow, decreasing the black population by 29% from 1940 to 1960, following earlier declines. More than 6 million blacks left the southern United States in the Great Migration to the North, the Midwest, and, beginning in the 1940s, the West Coast. Allen served in the United States Army during the war. He enlisted at age 23 in the service at Camp Shelby, Mississippi on January 12, 1943. After his return to Mississippi, he worked as a logger and farm laborer. Allen and his wife Elizabeth had 4 children together, including a daughter and a son named Henry, called Hank. He built up his own logging business, doing well enough also to buy his own land, where he and his family raised produce and cattle. Although Allen had not cooperated with the Justice Department, rumors of his visit in Jackson quickly spread among Liberty's white community. Local whites shunned Allen and cut off customers for his logging business. In August 1962, as Allen and 2 other black men tried to register to vote at Amite County Courthouse, they were shot at by an unknown assailant. No black person had been allowed to vote in Amite County since 1890. Following this incident, a white businessman threatened Allen, saying, "Lewis, the best thing you can do is leave. Your little family, they're innocent people, and your house could get burnt down. All of you could get killed." When Allen reported the death threats, the FBI, which had limited jurisdiction over civil rights cases at the time, referred the matter to Sheriff Jones's office. The FBI did so despite an agent acknowledging in a 1961 memo that Allen was to be killed and the local sheriff was involved in the plot to kill him. Allen then allegedly became a target of harassment by Jones. At a later interview, Hank Allen described Jones as mean, recounting how he arrested his father on trumped-up charges and beat him outside his home. On one such occasion in September 1962, Jones broke Allen's jaw with a flashlight. Moses wrote to Assistant Attorney General John Doerr about Allen, making reference to a plot by the sheriff and 7 other men. Jones' father was a high-ranking exalted Cyclops in Liberty's chapter of the Ku Klux Klan. FBI documentation from the 1960s claimed that Jones was also a Klan member. When Allen was released from jail, he filed an assault complaint with the FBI against Jones. He summarily testified before an all-white federal grand jury. As blacks had been prevented from registering and voting, they could not serve on juries. The jury dismissed his complaint. Allen stayed in Liberty because he was caring for his elderly parents. Among his associates was Leo McKnight, who had worked with him and twice tried to register to vote with him. In February 1963, McKnight and his family died in a suspicious fire that local blacks believed was a murder. In November 1963, Jones arrested Allen again, falsely charging him for bouncing a check and having a concealed weapon. Law enforcement officials threatened Allen with 3 to 5 years in prison. After 3 weeks, the NAACP raised the bail for Allen. In January 1964, after his mother died, Allen arranged to leave Liberty and move in with his brother in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as he feared for his life. On January 31st, the night before his planned departure, Allen was ambushed at the cattle grid at the border of his property. He was killed by 2 shotgun blasts to the head. His body was found by his son Hank. Interviewed in 2011, Hank said, "He, Sheriff Daniel Jones, told my mom that if Lewis had just shut his mouth, that he wouldn't be laying there on the ground. He wouldn't be dead." Allen's death is mentioned in the first memoir of civil rights activist Anne Moody titled Coming of Age in Mississippi. When Moody writes about reasons she should stay away from her family, she mentions Allen's murder. I will continue in my next episode. If you enjoyed this video, kindly let me know in the comments section.